becoming a wrecking ball. Today it's oil, tomorrow it's wheat, the day after tomorrow it's some other paper. We want this capital here to do something tangible. And there's a risk here. And the risk, Don's institution is AAA rated. Mine is junk. So if Don could raise the money and lend it to me, then I'll have the money to invest. And the private sector can come in implementation, can come in manufacturing, and so on and so forth. Now, two issues you raised, telecommunications and finance. We have not liberalized the financial sector in the sense that we have not allowed foreign banks to operate in Ethiopia. Why? Because these giants, Chiam, manage an economy that's many times bigger than mine. These giants can wreck a giant economy such as that of the United Kingdom. Ours is a flimsy boat. They come in, they use instruments that we cannot control, that in most instances we don't even understand. The best of us don't even understand. How are we going to regulate them? How are we going to regulate these people? It's not possible. We don't have the capacity now. So what did we do? We allowed the private sector in Ethiopia, which is not that, not infinitely more complex than the public sector, and therefore could easily be monitored and regulated by the public sector. We allow the private banks to operate here, so we have more than 10 private banks here, but not foreign banks. Is this going to be the permanent feature? No. As we grow, as we develop, and as we become more sophisticated in our regulatory capacity, of course we'll liberalize. But not now. And we have lost nothing because of this policy. Telecommunications. Ethiopia, as a country, I think in per capita terms, is investing more in infrastructure than perhaps any other country in Africa, whether it's railways or power or telecommunication. We're doing it by borrowing from banks that are not that good at speculation, mostly Chinese banks. So we have the money, borrowing it, and we want telecommunication in every school, in every village, and we want it cheap, not at 30% discount rate, at 2%, 3% discount rate. That is why we have not yet opened up the telecommunications sector to private investment. Is that going to be the permanent future? No. Once the market failure there is overcome, we move out. There were times when we owned breweries in this country. Now we are privatizing all of our breweries because that's not our business. The private sector can do it excellent and can do an excellent job. We used to own, and we still own some textiles. The only textile factories we own are the ones that we could not privatize because they're not making profit. But we want to privatize this. So it's not, our policy is not designed to keep the private sector at bay. We know that's a dead end. Without the private sector, there is no development. What our policy is based on is make sure that the public sector plays its role so that we will have Asia-type growth. What do I mean by Asia-type growth? Fast, but not just fast, equitable. Both fast and equitable growth. You cannot have fast and equitable growth without a clear division of labor and partnership between the private sector and the public sector.
Is there a choice and is there a need to leapfrog some of the basic infrastructure necessities to kickstart this industrialization? And I ask you this because Ethiopia is trying to stimulate a manufacturing industry, isn't it?
Yeah. I'll repeat what I said earlier on. Why do we need infrastructure? It's for economic growth and transformation. Infrastructure that does not serve that purpose is meaningless. Now, let me repeat again. I'm not saying the private sector has no role in telecommunications. Owning a cellular phone franchise in Africa is like owning the mint. So why wouldn't the private sector engage there? I have no problem with that. It's possible. I'm not saying that the private sector should not be engaged in any infrastructure activities. I'm saying the infrastructure activities that matter for manufacturing is electricity, roads, railways, ports. Without manufacturing, you do not transform our economy. So you can have all the best telecommunication in the world. If you can't manufacture a proper shirt to export, you can talk all you want on the phone, you will not transform your economy.